Okay, folks, thanks for joining us again on a Family Through Service V2VG video podcast, and I'm getting it down more and more consistently now.
Yes, indeed. Even in the sound check, you got it right.
Even in the sound check, yeah, and in the in our latest one, which we were in the car.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. It's only taken a little over a year.
Yeah,
fuck it at that point.
Some people are slow learners.
I'm a slow learner for sure. So we're going to do something a little bit different this time. Very often we talk about things that are V2VG specific, or politics or whatever specific, but sometimes they're heavy, right?
Yeah, and especially nowadays, right? I mean, there's it's like a nonstop thing with, and it's not even like politics as far as left or right. It's even
right.
Bipartisan politics, like just like nobody can do anything right, it seems. But yeah, I was watching when sharks attack, and I was like, I think it'd be a good topic to talk about human beings being alpha predators.
Because you hear that a lot, right?
Yeah.
We are the alpha predator.
Yeah, and so I thought it would be cool, and we can talk about things that we've dealt with in nature and things we've heard about and stuff, and
sure.
that kind of might question that as a true statement.
Right. Or, is it we're the alpha predator with an asterisk next to it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about this this topic a little bit off mic yesterday,
yeah.
I believe, as a sort of a preliminary discussion to this episode,
yeah.
basically. So, what is an alpha predator anyway? Basically, for people who might not really know what that term is.
So typically it's the top of the food chain, right? Like something that is not typically hunted or killed by another animal.
Like an example would be a great white shark, basically,
yeah.
in the ocean, or
lions,
a lion or
yeah.
a tiger, and something at the apex
yeah.
of the, like you said, the food chain. Something that's does the hunting and isn't the hunter. But it's never a prey animal like a deer.
Yeah, no,
or whatever.
And that's why vegetarians don't last very long
in the wild. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But apex predators are apex meaning the peak, right? And
yeah.
Predators being a predatory animal, and the common consensus is that humans are now the apex predator. But you said, I've been thinking we are an apex predator after a fashion, but are we the apex predator? And what are your thoughts on that?
So, I mean, as far as being hunted, typically only humans hunt other humans. Like, we are not hunted for food.
Specifically.
Yeah, typically. Yeah. I mean, where it does happen, and it seems to be the most likely, would be in the ocean with sharks, or even orcas, killer whales.
Yeah.
So, but that's a very instinctual thing. It's not that we're sought out as food. It's more of a situation of opportunity.
Yeah, it's an attack of opportunity. We're there, they're hungry.
Yeah.
Fuck it. And we can't defend ourselves.
And,
typically.
And I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of people, when we think about ourselves as, and nobody knows better than me, being a Marine, I fully understand the feeling of feeling, invincible and all that.
Right.
But
you kind of beat that into your head and boot. Right?
Oh yeah, they did the same for you in your trainings, but when you really look at what is going on around the world, specifically animal kingdom wise, and some of the mannerisms, it's really, I don't think it's as black and white, so to speak, as we like to think it is.
I think the reason for that is that when we think of apex predators, we think of the end result, right? The results of their process, which being the predator, whatever the creature is, hunting the prey, killing it, and then using it for whatever purposes, food, supplies, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
And then you see a tiger, a lion, whatever, a lioness. They hunt the their prey, they kill it, they eat it, whatever. And they say, look, so that's a simple process. And they say, oh, humans, we hunt, we kill, we eat, we use. So there's a correlation. But there's a distinct difference that I think a lot of people don't realize. And what's the main difference? There's the glaring difference that a lot of people overlook between, say, for example, a lion and a man who hunt to kill a prey animal.
Well, and I'd have to bring up the question of, are we talking about hunting now, or are we talking about hunting in 1776? Like,
I guess it would be either way.
Are we using firearms that are manufactured and deliberate, or are we using, sticks and rocks and handmade bow and arrows? They're two very different things.
They are different things, but I think the concept is the same. The lion is using its natural ability.
Yes, there's no tools being used.
The human being, even from time immemorial, wasn't using its humanity, human ability.
Yeah,
we don't have the teeth and the claws or the natural strength to take down a fucking antelope by ourselves, or speed.
You think about how fast deer, especially up here, right? I mean, North Country deer is a huge thing. I don't know, maybe that one guy that ran the Liberty Sprint right after doing like 5K and won, he might be able to catch a deer.
Mr. Pafari, he sprinted up the hill pretty damn fast. Aside from him, and maybe
I don't think there's anybody else I know.
Some sprinters, But I think that's the big thing, right? And we were talking about that as human beings, since from way back, on our own human ability. We, even being predators, and naturally we are predators.
Yeah.
The difference between us and other predators is that on our own, or even in packs of humans, with just our natural abilities, no tools, we typically don't have what it takes to bring an animal down mano a mano, like man to man or man to animal.
Yeah.
Now, what do we have to use to take an animal down? Our intellect? Because I know that in caveman days, sometimes we would drive animals off a cliff.
Yeah, I mean,
but that's using intellect to trick the animal into killing itself.
That would be the closest, I guess, to.
That's the closest to being like using your natural ability.
Yeah.
But no other animal really kind of tricks an animal into killing itself. So you can do it, but then again, what does a human do? You need tools to process the animal, but the human being, the advantage the human has over the other apex predators is what?
Well, and I was thinking about this too. Is if you look at evolution, and yes, humans have evolved basic physically and stuff over years, but animals have evolved to become the predators that they are. Humans
by themselves
tend to evolve in intellect and complex theories, right? Like being able to,
minds.
And that has led to, and I just read somewhere that there's a new long distance record broke over 3 miles with a rifle. Like
that's fucking far, man.
I mean, those are the advances we've made as individuals and as human beings. Is that intellect has given us the opportunity to have
make
the tools.
Yeah. One of the major things that sets us apart from the rest of the animal kingdom are tools, and we use tools to take down animals, and that's what makes us. That's what elevates us from. I feel elevates us from prey to apex predator.
Yeah.
Predator because we eat meat, okay? But that makes us more of an omnivore, right? Because we eat meat and vegetation. But what takes us from prey and middle-level predator to apex predator because even caveman days, the ability to think, to invent tools,
absolutely,
to craft them and use them, like the atlatl. And like, okay, we have a spear. Well, how can we make the spear fly farther? The atlatl stick to make it really fucking wing out there, we have that ability to do that.
Biblical days, right? David and Goliath, a simple rock,
rock and a sling.
It's true not just for eating purposes, but general self-defense and
Self-defense
stuff, which
and war.
which we still do. You know, I mean, you and I both everyday carry, so
Yep.
things like that. But the problem, I think, was with all these mental evolutions that we've created, and I see it, read it all the time in stories with Marines and soldiers, is it's gotten us to become complacent and prideful. And so
In our abilities?
just in general, we
Okay.
just as people, we're like, oh, nothing can harm me, and
in
you
our
know-
ability to be the apex predator.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
and and everybody knows about sharks and poisonous snakes and stuff, but you know, up here we don't have that. We don't have.
Not as
well,
much.
we're not near any type of sharks, luckily. And in the North
You
Country,
keep mentioning sharks. I think you have a problem with sharks.
no, I think they're amazing creatures.
I
Honestly,
think they're amazing too, but I'll be honest with you. I have a fear of sharks, and I have a fear of bees. You know, it's funny you mention that people are afraid or complacent with our natural abilities because of our intellect. As strong and as smart and as cunning as we are, and we are cunning, right? We are very soft creatures because the smallest thing, and I'm not talking about viruses, because a virus can take down a
and that is-
naturally apex predator.
and that
right?
is pretty close to the smallest.
Yeah.
Movie, right? I mean,
So, like, a virus can take down a lion. That's not what I'm talking about. But us, a natural apex predator, which I consider a natural apex predator, a predator on its own ability.
Yeah.
A lion, a tiger, a shark. And a manufactured apex predator being us, because we're apex predators, because we have the intellect and ability to make tools that elevate us to that level.
Yeah.
Right? We are soft to the point where we can be taken down by, and it's like, have you seen ostensibly brave people terrified of something a lot smaller than them physically in stature? A snake. And why? Because a snake with its toxins can kill a man.
Yeah.
It can kill you. A bug, a frog, a venom goes in you, poison goes on. So a poisonous frog can kill you.
yeah,
Right?
And
So you pick
yeah.
up, oh, look, it's a pretty frog. I'm a man, I'm the apex predator, and look at this pretty frog, and you fucking touch it, and that poison gets in your skin, you're dead. Well, I don't know about who's the apex predator there.
Well, and you know that's.
He's prey, actually, and he fucking
Well,
killed you.
You know,
Or
and
she.
it's interesting because up here we don't have, up in the North Country in northern New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, don't have a lot of poisonous animals, whether it be snakes or
I think all we have is the eastern
spiders.
diamondback rattlesnake and venomous spiders that can actually really harm us.
it's
I don't
rare.
know. Yeah, it's very rare.
But what we do have, and most people are aware that our predators are bears. We have
Bear,
both
yeah.
black bear and we have,
We have wolves too.
brown bear. We have the wolves, which do impacts, but
Mountain lions. Yep.
you know, the
People
thing,
were like, "There's no mountain lions in New Hampshire." Yes,
the
there
hell
are.
they aren't. You know, we even have Canadian lynx now. You know, but
They've been making a comeback, yeah,
and-
which is, in a natural perspective, is good.
but you know, as far as those are all predators on their own, but you know, there's a relatively high mortality rate for human beings up here. Dying due to the cause of moose.
Which is funny. You know, you mentioned that, and I wanted to. I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to point out that everybody talks about predators this and predators that, and predator will kill you and this and that, which is true.
Yeah.
It's true. And prey, you know, a prey animal is only good for dying. That's not true, because a prey animal, if you back it into a corner or if you put it in a situation where it needs to defend itself, can and will, if it's given the opportunity, will kill you,
Oh yeah,
and you'll be just as, you can die just as dead
yeah,
from a
right.
prey animal, a moose,
Yeah,
as you can from a Canadian lynx or a mountain lion or a pack of wolves or something. And the funny thing is, people see a moose like they see Bullwinkle on, you know,
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the
exactly.
cartoon. Oh, it's a funny moose. You know, how often have you seen, you know, tourists or even some locals? My wife, we're transplanted locals. We lived here over 10 years, 2 of our kids are born here. So, yeah, we're flatlanders.
Yeah, half your kids, right?
Stupid. Half of my kids were born here. But, they'll pull over and take pictures of moose, and it's like, you're actually putting yourself in a dangerous situation. Because if you piss it off, what happens?
Well, and the thing that I think that a lot of people don't realize is the determining factor between all animals, human beings included, the one thing that will cause most animals to attack in a way that they could kill a human being is the protection of their children.
And
they're young.
If they're in a
rut. I've only killed 4 or 5 people.
Sex and kids, right? I want you to take.
And for moose,
write this down. If an animal is horny, it'll kill you. If an animal is protecting its babies, it'll kill you.
And most likely, that's the cause for moose is that they're being,
especially if they're protecting their babies.
If the males will definitely, if they're in heat, so to speak.
They're in the rut, yeah.
Yeah.
And the moose are massive creatures, and I think that's why people pull over to take pictures, because they're like, holy, look at the size of this freaking creature.
A lot of people realize how big they are. Like,
they think, the moose is the size of a deer. No, it's not.
Or a little bit bigger, right?
No.
Like, a moose is like as tall as a minivan, right? The back goes yeah. And then you talk about having a full rack. It's like, yeah, it's majestic in a lot of ways. And
they move slow. They can move fast, but typically they move slow. They kind of walk along, and you're like, I'm going to take a picture. And then they've attacked cars.
Oh, yeah.
and other things. And you're right. You get out, you take a picture, and next thing you know, this freaking thing, this massive, basically minivan on legs is charging you. And for
there's
people,
no brakes.
These people are like, what do I do? Move if you can.
Right?
The best thing to do is to, if you're driving up here in the North Country and you see a moose,
look at it in the car.
Take a picture of it. If there's no traffic, pull over properly, take a picture of it from inside your car, and then leave. Don't get out of your vehicle, take a picture, and block up traffic. Please don't be that person. Yes. Or the best thing to do, really, honestly, is just to drive on by and take a picture of it with your mind. Memory is better anyway. You can go on the internet and you can see a million pictures.
You can do video now, right? I mean, you can flip your phone or GoPro into video mode as you're going by, and then from there you can turn it into
stills,
and stuff. So, it's definitely.
But you're right. I mean, a moose will freaking kill you. And for the love of God, when you're driving up here in the North Country or wherever there's moose, be careful, because here's the thing. Deer their eyes will reflect your headlights and stuff, and so you have a little bit of a chance to say, hey, there's a reflection of their eyes in the road. But moose eyes, they don't have much of a reflection or any reflection at all. I think
it's more of a glaze.
But I think it's like a glaze, and they'll stand, and by the time you see, and they stand so tall that your headlights typically only see their legs, and they're modeled in color. They're not modeled, but their color blends in with the road and the surroundings. So by the time you're coming up on a moose, it's typically too late. And when you hit them, a grown moose, I mean, typically what happens is you take out their legs and their body smashes onto your windshield. I'm talking about full-grown moose. And so there's more fatalities of hitting a grown moose because they land on top of your car, and then they crush you down, than hitting a deer. And it's like hitting a brick wall.
And honestly,
trees in a wall.
A lot of those times, the moose end up getting up and leaving. Like, they end up being.
What did you hit? I don't know. It left.
Right. I'm at least with a deer, unless it's a big deer, they're gonna be hurt.
You'll see it, or you'll see something. So just. When you're driving in the North Country, especially at dawn and dusk, just be careful. Just be careful.
And
keep your speed down, and drive, and
highway patrol. They put the signs out there. Deer crossing, moose cross. It's not to let the deer or moose know where to cross. It's to let us human beings know
where they typically
that there's a probability. Maybe within half a mile or whatever. So to just slow down a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
don't say, okay, cool, I'm going to step on it here. Right? I always thought it meant for to let them give permission so they can cross.
Right, wave. What is it? Stop, look, and wave.
Stop, look,
That's
and wave.
what we do over here.
So in our town, in our town on our crosswalks, there's a little paint that says "Stop, look, wave," because people who are supposed to use the crosswalk are supposed to do that to help them make eye contact with the drivers. But we have a lot of tourists who just don't do that, and nor will they use the crosswalk anyway. So, also, it's a popular main street. We've been rated one of the 10 best small towns in America like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
So people come to our main street and just fucking cross, and it's a hassle to cross. So, like Moose, drive slow down Main Street, because if you hit a person, you're going to get in a lot more trouble than hitting a moose.
And every town has a main street.
Yeah.
But if they are in the crosswalk, the driver is at fault. But if they're not, depending on the circumstances, the driver might be forgiven. So it just really depends. Don't take the chance.
Don't be an apex predator in your car and just floor it and say, I'm bigger than you. It's funny you're talking about who's at fault. And we digress from apex predatory animals, but that's okay. A few years ago, it was winter.
Yeah.
And there was snow and slush on the ground, as there is in winter in New England often. And one of the town workers, I'm not going to mention her name for privacy reasons, but she was struck while crossing the street from the town office, to the post office across the street. And myself and another person who happened to be a veteran pulled over immediately to assist her. And we rendered aid to her and stuff. She didn't die, but because they were going slow and she was in the crosswalk, whatever. But she got hurt pretty bad. And the first question the police officer asked when he arrived on scene was she in the crosswalk?
Yeah.
And that was an important question, right? And she was crossing where the crosswalk was, but I had to be honest and say, I don't know, officer, because there's slush and snow on the ground. I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Now, was she in the crosswalk proper? I don't know. But she was crossing where the crosswalk was about, so...
it's kind of a judgment call.
It's a judgment call, yeah.
Not a beautiful summer morning, right?
Right. So it's... I had to be honest and say, I don't know. But the point is, the officer did ask immediately, was she in the crosswalk? Because it's a very important determination on fault.
Oh, absolutely, But on the other hand, and we talked about, human beings and being apex predators and animalistic behaviors and stuff. Human beings are the only animal that is capable of actually treating and helping others, whether it be other people or other animals, to recovery and survive, which is interesting.
And that would. How often have you seen, let's say, bears fight over a mate or territory?
Yeah.
And not to the death, but, one bear wounds another and the other bear runs off to lick his wounds. And then the victor goes over and says, let me help you. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, and that's what's cool, too. And so you have both sides of the coin, because you do have the ability, because of tools, to be able to create death, but also because of the ability of having tools to save lives, which is a great...
to mitigate the damage that was done.
Yeah. And, we do that now more, more often, even with subtle things. Like, we have a bunch of Christmas tree farms here, and every year when there's some taken down, they plant new ones every spring. Like, there's little things like that we do deliberately as individuals, where a bee doesn't give a shit. Like, they land and they just go and whatever.
They just do what they have to do, and that's part of the... It's part of creation, actually. It's part of what animals do.
But it's not a deliberate process.
Yeah, it's not a deliberate thought process. We have. I was talking to Chuck about. My wife and I are CCD religious ed teachers for 4th grade for our church, and 4th grade's a neat age to teach, because children at that age and grade level are still impressionable about the world. But they're old enough to have deeper thoughts and questions on their own, and they can infer things and extrapolate things that in directions that you might not expect.
And they're getting out of the black and white of everything.
They
right?
are.
Like,
they're getting into questions more about gray areas. And one of the questions was, like, one of the 10 Commandments is "Thou shalt not kill." And speaking of apex predators and killing, we talked about thou shalt not kill. And I said, okay, thou shalt not kill. Okay. What about members of the military during war, or law enforcement during a violent encounter? You know, what does it mean? What does that commandment mean for them? And it was just very interesting to see their variety of responses and interactions. Some of the students said, well, they're not supposed to do it, so they're violating the commandment. And other ones were like, well, it doesn't matter for them. So, you know, if you're a member of the military or you're in law enforcement, it doesn't apply to you, which of course is not true either.
Yes.
Both far ends of the spectrum are not true. There is black and white. There is a gray area there that you have to pick apart and see situationally what there is. And it's just fun to see this stuff and to ask them what they think about this stuff. And I think next Sunday, although this Sunday, because Martin Luther King Jr. Day, we have off, I think I'm going to ask them about apex predators and predatory people, how that relates to thou shalt not kill, and, you know, try to somehow tie that into thou shalt not kill and what it means for your intention.
And I think that's what the gray area is covered by, is the intention, right?
Yeah. Well, when you're talking about sin, intention has a huge part to do with it.
Well, yeah.
Because but that's a whole different subject. But intention has a lot to do with it. If you're intending to kill somebody and you harm them and they don't die,
yeah.
As far as the sin's concerned, you intended to kill them, so that's sort of a problem. If you're just trying to kill somebody for no reason, like walking down the street.
And you know, there is a history of police officers who have become serial killers, or very strong-willed, good military members under the stress of war who have in the group massacred an entire village. So there are
outliers like that. There really are.
But it still doesn't make it right.
No,
you know what I mean?
Right. And I'm going to bring that up to them and ask them where they think, where it transfers over from being acceptable to not acceptable. And ultimately, we're not the ones who make that judgment anyway. That's God makes makes a decision.
Depending on what you believe in,
Right. But, I mean, it's interesting to see. And the reason we bring up this podcast topic, Apex Predators, is not only to have just a different discussion.
Yeah.
Right? Something different to talk about. It's we want to show some variety, some broad spectrum things. We want people to interact with us and give us some topic ideas, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely. And please, like and subscribe to our videos.
Yeah.
Check us out on Facebook as well. Quick teaser. One topic I want to do next time is, and I've already given you a heads up on this, is talking about our wives, but not like everyday things, but like
gossip,
the exceptional things that they have done to make us who we are.
And there's a lot to talk about, especially our wives, because Chuck and I are not men in situations where we just grew up simply or easy to live with and have simple backstories.
That's so true.
there's a lot of backstory, and our wives have dealt with, are dealing with, and will deal with a dynamic situation.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And it takes a special woman to do that. So, and another teaser, if you haven't been to our current website, which is veteranstoveransgroup.com, we are going to have a new website up in the near future, one way or the other. And so be on the lookout. Also, we do update our social media profiles
like daily.
But we're going to have our website updated as well, and it should be
probably bi-monthly, right? Every 2 weeks.
Yeah, bi-monthly or at least quarterly. It'll be updated significantly.
Yeah.
We have a new webmaster. His name is Sean. We're glad to have him aboard. He is a board member, but he's also our webmaster.
And Nancy, if you're watching, I remembered your name.
So there's that too. And also, I've been trying to cut back on my swearing because I've been told that some people try to watch and listen to us while they have children around. So I've been making a concerted effort to cut back on my potty mouth.
It's easier when we're not talking about what we consider to be hot topics, not hot topics like abortion, but like things that we find very near and dear to things we've lived with.
Yes,
the falling of Afghanistan, and
so I think what I'm going to do now, not going to mention any names, but one of the names was already mentioned. I'm going to, in the title of
explicit language.
So those of you who are sensitive to the language because of their environment can say, I'm not going to listen to this because I don't want to take the chance of young ears.
You can put a number in bold and underlined 7 F-bombs in this episode.
So, but yeah, seriously. Like, subscribe, comment if you can. But there's a lot of ways to get a hold of us. You can call us, you can message us on Facebook. We are definitely not a charity that is hard to reach.
That's for sure. Except for November 15th to January 15th. It's a little gray area because we have families as well.
Yes.
Then
it's a crisis situation only. You can still reach us, but we might not reach back out to you.
Yeah, that same day, But we do appreciate the support. I think we have 57 subscribers right now.
And the reason we're asking for that, of course, is because we want to monetize the channel to get money into the treasury. And that's the goal. That's the reason we do this.
And it's not for our individual accounts. It's for the treasury of the organization.
Yes. And this channel, V2VG channel, isn't our private account. It's our charity's channel. Even though we don't speak for the organization, we speak for ourselves. The monetization money would go to our charity account. We're trying to have positive income flow. So other than just incoming donations and selling things. So if you know anybody who wants to subscribe to a channel, even if they don't watch all the time, just every now and again, send them the link and see, whatever. If they like it, great. If they don't like it, that's fine too. What we say, what we think, what we do isn't for everybody. We understand that, and we can move on from there.
And if you're moving to alternate types of social media, you can find us on Rumble as well.
Yep. So Chuck is doing the Rumble platform, and I'm taking care of the YouTube platform, and we're going to keep on keeping on. So thank you so much for watching and listening.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.